As South Africa gears up for the 2024 general elections, opposition parties are trying every trick in the book to unseat the governing ANC. However, there are reports suggesting that the party may still manage to clinch onto power by a small margin, though. Voter turnout may also be on the decline as most parties battle corruption and infighting. So let's speak about the state of political parties and whether any organization is well placed to lead the country currently. Brand and reputation management expert Solly Moeng joins us now for that discussion via our video link. Solly, great to see you as always. Thanks indeed for making time. You would expect the opposition parties to be able to really leverage off the very serious problems that exist within the ANC. But that's simply not happening. I mean, what's your diagnosis around why that's the case?
You're absolutely correct, and good morning. It's saddening. It's almost like it's not because of the ANC that it wins elections. It's because of the way opposition people go about their business. I mean, there's a huge community and a growing community of South Africans who are no longer voting, who have not been voting for a long time. They come in all ages. Nobody seems to be targeting those people. It's the same message over and over again. But not only that, everybody wants to be president. All the leaders of these parties, the opposition parties, want to be president. They forget that the ANC didn't come into office on its own back in '94. The people of South Africa united against apartheid, despite their differences in other areas. There were NGOs who were fighting against apartheid. There were those end conscription campaigners, the communists, obviously, and the others. People said we have to stand behind Mandela and beat the apartheid to bring the ANC into power. Now, all these guys over the years, we've seen people coming with small little political parties. They think on their own they will be the ANC. Everybody wants to be president, and they end up after elections with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seats, and they think, yeah, I'm in. What these people need to do, the people in the opposition space, they need to get together, not after the elections. They need to get together before the elections and say to themselves, how do we organize ourselves? How do we create an amazing, appealing post-ANC South Africa that we're going to sell to the people of South Africa before the elections? But right now they want to say, no, you run your own race. We'll see after the race who gets how much, and then we'll compare notes and see who goes into what coalition with whom and who gets what position with whom. They need to say, we can't keep doing things over and over the same way and expect different outcomes. If they keep running the way they are, the ANC will come out victorious again. Yeah. But they also need to keep an eye on the IEC, because the IEC is not as independent it's supposed to be, according to lots of reports. They need to protect it.
All right, we'll speak about that in just a moment, because that's also quite a bombshell. But, I mean, you started off by saying that we're seeing a growing community of people not taking part in the electoral process, essentially in our democracy. How worried should we be about that? Because you are right. We are finding that if people are upset, mostly at the ANC, they'd rather choose to stay at home than to vote for another party.
Exactly. It's still emotionally difficult for a lot of people to jump from an ANC, which has been an emotional home for their parents, grandparents, and all the stories that we know, anti-liberation stories, to go and vote, say, for a party like the DA. And the DA is not doing a good job anyway with all these black leaders who leave, and each time, soon after they jump out of the DA, they tell the whole world that it's not a very good space for black people. The DA needs to do something about that. The EFF, I don't know, Malema, what he stands for. He says crazy things all the time that are contradictory, and people still follow him because he has this charisma. When he speaks, people just want to listen to him. But you know, we're talking about South Africa here. We need to bring it back to what is it about? It's about the Republic of South Africa, a very diverse country, and it will always be a diverse country. It's a huge, beautiful country with much potential. When you look at all these individuals in opposition, do you see those people leading this democracy, helping us realize the aims of our constitution? I'm struggling to find those people who can really stand up and say, yeah, this person is going to.
Yeah.
So we need to change all of it. But we also need to look at the electoral process. This has to change fundamentally. There are too many powers in the office of the presidency. Those needs to be reduced. We need to have a presidency that's almost symbolic, where we have some kind of national council that's a multi-party that governs over a period and chooses maybe over 12 or 24 months period, a president. Right now, too much powers, too much arrogance, too much impunity. People just do what they want. The ANC could have pulled South Africa out of the ICC. Nobody could have stopped it. The ANC continued to send money to Cuba without consultation with the people of South Africa. Nobody can stop it. Too much power in the hands of these people is too much. And whether it's the ANC or somebody else, we need to stop that.
Yeah. You mentioned the IEC possibly losing some of its independence. That is very worrying, especially when you consider the role the IEC should be playing as a Chapter 9 institution at any time of the year, more especially around elections. What do you mean by that?
The IEC, I usually call it the Electoral Commission, no longer the Independent Electoral Commission, okay? When we hear stories coming out of it from people who are well placed in it, they'll tell you how much there's been attacks from it by the ANC. You must remember that the ANC president still is the final person to choose who becomes the head of the IEC. The ANC is one of the parties contesting elections. You will not become IEC head if the ANC is not happy for you to be there. We've seen how one former IEC commissioner, at the Terib Zelani, had to leave because he didn't want to play the game that assumingly he was being forced to play. All right, and Gweta Mantashe went after him. Gweta Mantashe and late the Secretary General, the lady who died recently, they went after him in public because he didn't want to give them what he wanted. So we need to shield the independent corrector or the Electoral Commission against political interference, not just on election day. People think when you wear your fancy T-shirt and cap and stand there to look at the orderly voting, that's where the work is done. You need to say, before the election, who prints the ballots? How are they transported? Who transports them? Where are they stored? Who controls the IT system? All that value chain around the IEC has to be defended independently all the time, before elections, during elections, and immediately after the elections, if we want to make sure that we've got credible elections. We've seen it happens all over Africa. These things get manipulated big time.
I mean, our constitution directs that Parliament is meant to be the one that ensures there's the kind of oversight that we need, even in Chapter 9 institutions. And that's why there's that inquiry taking place involving Busisiwe Mkhwebane and her fitness to hold office. The difficulty, though, of course, is that Parliament itself currently has majority ANC members. Are we in trouble?
We are in trouble. Look, during the 9 or 10 years of Jacob Zuma in power, everybody knew what this man was doing to this country. But the ANC, which holds majority in Parliament, defended him. The country said, please, relieve us of this man. This man's knee is sitting on South Africa's neck. Can you take him off? The ANC, no, he's not going anywhere. So, no, nothing happens. The ANC controls international policy, foreign policy for South Africa, education, health, social development. It controls everything. You can't create the kind of South Africa that we need, defined in our constitution, with the ANC in power. You can't. So these ANC people in the opposition parties need to just forget about personal ego. It's not about you. This is bigger than everybody. It's not about, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to be the next president of South Africa. Everybody's doing that. We're going to see more voices going into the space saying, I'm going to be the next president. We're tired of that. We don't need another messiah in South Africa. We need South Africans to get together and agree. And there will be convergences and divergences, but there's got to be one thing that puts South Africans together, which is we need change. We can't have change while the ANC continues to be able to send money to Cuba or to wherever it wants without consulting anybody. We can't.
Quickly, Solly, do you think South Africans can actually work towards that change meaningfully without being involved in the political process?
We have the core of our difficulties rest in political power in South Africa. So we have to bring the religious communities, cultural communities, civil society movements, all of these. So these changes are not going to be done by active political parties. So I see all these polls saying so and so is going to get so much, but they are undermining or then ignoring rather the power, the potential power of those people who are sitting on the sidelines who have not been voting. Those people just need somebody to give them a dream, to show them we can do it. And once all those people wake up, they will overwhelm even the power of the existing political parties in terms of numbers. So we need to reanimate South Africans to dream of a South Africa. And I don't see anyone in active politics right now doing it. They're all just fighting to grow their colors so that they can cross the line and become hopeful presidents. It's tiring.
Sure. Solly Moeng, great to get your perspective on this Monday morning. Really do appreciate it. Solly is a brand and reputation management expert. Once again, thanks very much indeed.